you went to go take a shower because we had to go to the island, and started hearing noises, and we thought you had hit your head, and Grandma went to go check on you because we were getting a little worried after we heard a noise the third time.
So I kept dropping the soap. I would hold the soap in my hand, and it would just fall. And I've never had that trouble in that restroom ever my entire life. So I was like, what the hell's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I wonder, I put too much caffeine? What did I do? So I was getting nervous, and I kept picking up the bottle and dropping it, picking up, dropping it. I couldn't hold it. And then I was scared because I had locked the door and I was in the shower. And I went and I unlocked the door first, and then I came back in and got the towel, in case it happened again, and I couldn't hold the towel. So I got the towel, went and sat down, and
that's when I walked in.
And that's when you walked up.
You were acting weird because you didn't say anything. You were trying to talk, but you couldn't. And so I went to go get Grandma. You didn't want her to call the ambulance?
Well, because I thought it was going to pass, and I thought, okay, whatever it is, it's going to go away.
Then I told her to go call because I got worried. I didn't want anything to happen.
And she came and she said, I already called the ambulance to come check you out.
You weren't going to go sit down, and I pulled you to the couch.
And then as soon as I sat down, that's when we saw the fire trucks and the ambulance come in. And
they said that was a possible stroke. And so then I called Mommy right away, and she was acting all calm and stuff, and I was wondering why she wasn't freaking out.
So I went to go check my phone, and I saw a bunch of missed calls from Joy, and then a text message that says, emergency, call me. And she says, the ambulance is here for Daddy, and they think he might have had a stroke. And you know how I am when, something crazy like that happens. I kind of panic on the inside, but I don't let it show that I'm scared. I was just really calm on the phone with Joy. Number one, I didn't want to freak her out and make her more worried, and I wanted her to think that it wasn't a stroke, that it was going to be okay. I asked her to call me on FaceTime so I could see him myself and kind of assess the situation, and I could see right away that he was terrified. He couldn't talk, and he was crying, and he just looked really he was panicking in that moment. As soon as I hung up with Joy, I called Jasmine, and Jasmine's always been kind of a calming, I call it the Jasmine effect. And I said, are you at work? And she was like, no, I'm on my way. Why? And I said, well, don't freak out. And I kind of told her what was going on, and the next thing I know, 3 minutes later, she's knocking at my door. Or she made me laugh, and she made me feel like everything was going to be okay. When I got to Brownsville Hospital, Delinda, my mother-in-law, reached out to me, and she said that they're going to transfer him to Harlingen because they have a stroke unit there in Harlingen that can better assess him. I was still kind of holding on to the hope that he hadn't had a stroke, but I was also kind of starting to freak out a little bit. And it wasn't until they got to Harlingen and they did a CAT scan on him, and they saw that he had bleeding in his brain and that he had an aneurysm that caused the stroke. And that's when I really kind of started to freak out. In that very moment, all these thoughts started flooding in from the last few months. We have experienced losses in the last few months that we have been, struggling with, and we were finally getting to a good place in our life where we were about to start the next chapter of our lives, and we were talking about how great everything was going to be. And in that moment, I felt like God was taking you away from me too. And honestly, it was the second time in my life that I've ever been taken to my knees. And I just fell to the floor, and I just cried out, and I said, no, you cannot take him. I need him to come with me. I can't do this without him. And in that same instance, in the same moment, I'm on my knees, and I just felt calm. I just felt at peace. And then something told me, reach out to the Delgados. Like literally in my head, something was like, reach out to the Delgados. And I told them, everything that was going on. And I said, I'm struggling right now. I don't know if I'm going to drive down there tonight myself. I'm really nervous about doing that. Or I'm going to leave in the morning on a plane. But I'd really like to be there tonight. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Pedro responded like right away, and he said, can you be ready in an hour? We'll leave in an hour. I remember like walking into the nurse opening the curtain, and I guess you woke up from hearing the noise and you saw me and your face just lit up, and I sat there by your bed for the next 2 days. I never left your side. I didn't sleep for 2 days. I don't think I ate anything for 2 days. Like I just stayed there, like right there by you.
Having a stroke, in this case, it's very distracting because you think you're fine, and then you try to talk, or you try to maneuver your hand, or you try to do anything, and you can't. And it was my right side of my body. My entire way of communicating is my right side, so I had to do everything with my left hand, and so I was really scared in the beginning.
The next day when the doctors came in to round on him is when I found out that he had the AVM, the arteriovenous malformation. He seemed optimistic, but he also said it was a very complicated malformation. And he kind of showed me this diagram of what it looks like, and literally if you picture a ball of yarn all tangled up, and he was like, that's basically, what we're dealing with. And the veins and arteries, which should be separate, are, in this case, they're connected to each other. So it's causing the blood flow to be irregular. And when that happens and you're under a great deal of stress, it will cause that malformation to rupture. He didn't know for certain if it was going to be a successful surgery because of how complicated it looked in the scans. He actually started the research on AVMs 15 years ago in the Rio Grande Valley. So he had tons of experience, and I had so much faith in him, and I said, we were brought here for a reason. He was able to remove 95% of the AVM. What was really remarkable to me was the self discipline that he had to know when to stop, because he said he got to a point where he just couldn't safely remove the rest of it. And he showed me, in another diagram, like how difficult it was going to be to get to the small portion of it that he couldn't get to safely. And he was like, and I just felt like if I tried to push it and I tried to get to it, I could have really caused some long-term permanent damage. And so, I felt grateful and so thankful that he was able to remove as much as he was, and that he was, knowledgeable enough to stop when he knew he needed to stop. And the small portion that's left, they are hoping will just kind of go away on its own, which veins and arteries disintegrate and, regenerate on their own all the time. So that's what they're really hoping for. And, we have a lot of hope for that too. That's one thing I pray about every night, is that, he goes back into for his scans in January and they tell him it's gone. One of the most hopeful things that we keep hearing from doctors and medical professionals is that he's doing amazing. Nobody can believe that he just had a stroke 2 months ago. He's been out of the hospital since August 25th, and when he came out of the hospital, he really couldn't talk at all.
No medication.
He's kind of a medical miracle a little. He finally got accepted into the UT RGV speech therapy program. They're very interested in his case. You just don't see very many patients with AVMs, especially healthy men in their 40s.
If I don't focus on what I'm going to say, I will, my voice will slur. And so I just got to get that to talk at full speed, like Chisholm says.
Yesterday was the first day that he's actually written anything since having his stroke. He did lose all ability to communicate for quite a while. He wasn't able to talk. He wasn't able to write or text, type. He couldn't make that connection from the words, the thoughts in his head to come out in any way. And he decided that he was finally feeling up to meeting the first responders that responded to the 911 call.
In my case, while before surgery, before they took it out, I couldn't have high blood pressure, couldn't freak out about really anything. And at the moment I was freaking out because I'd never been in an ambulance ever. And the one lady, she was the one that was with me the entire time and making sure that everybody knew that I could not talk when everybody would come to me and ask me what's wrong, what's your name, your birth date. I couldn't communicate, and I didn't have anybody with me. So she stayed with me the entire time, and then until the very, very last minute when they were about to take me up to the ICU in Harlingen, and it's when she finally said bye. And I wanted to go, honestly thank them for everything that they did, because I don't think I would have gotten, if it was somebody on a bad day or somebody just not feeling up to working that day and I was treated bad, I could have been in a whole different situation. But okay, so yeah, enough about being sad, and go have fun, go watch the bands. Thanks for coming out, guys. I love you. I'll see you all soon.
Drowning deep in my sea of lonely, broken, your servant died.